Hello there, welcome back to my channel. In case you're a new viewer, I upload gaming and tech content here, and for this particular video, or series of videos I should say, it is time to put together the components from my recent unboxing videos to finally build my D19 based SFF rig. I say series of videos because I've decided to split this up into 2 or maybe even 3 videos, to separate them into their different stages and to not make one very long video. To start, let's go through the parts that I'll be using. For the platform, I'll be going with the M4 with a 6-core 12-thread CPU, one that does not have an integrated graphics unit. For the cooler, I'll be using a low-profile air cooler. For the case, as already mentioned, we have the D19 4.7-liter SFF case. 32GB in total of DDR4 3200MHz speed CL16 timing RAM. 500GB of NVMe SSD for storage. A 300W Flex ATX PSU. And a low-profile NVIDIA GTX 1650 for the graphics card. Okay, so let's start by installing the CPU onto the motherboard. Let's take out the motherboard and place it on top of its own box. This is an AMD Ryzen 5 5500. I'm not sure if you have already seen my previous build video, but following the same technique that I mentioned there, look for the golden triangle on one of the corners of the CPU and match it with the corresponding marker on the slot of the motherboard to get the correct orientation. Next is to install the CPU cooler. We have here a Noctua NH-L9A AM4 in Chromax Black. Since we don't need the standard nameform bracket that comes with the motherboard, let's first remove it along with the backplate. Securing them together so that they are properly kept in the motherboard box for safekeeping. The thermal interface of choice for today is the Arctic MX5. A good choice and is up there with the likes of the NTH1 from Noctua and the Cryonaut from Thermal Grizzly. Just a pea-sized blob on the middle of the CPU IHS will do. Taking into consideration the placement of the fan cable on this cooler and the CPU fan header placement on the motherboard, I chose this orientation. And now, with the installation, we have to do it this way since the screws come in from the back. By the way, you may opt to put the thermal paste on the cooler cold plate in case you're worried about the paste dripping down from the IHS once you flip the motherboard upside down. And let's ignore that I tried to screw in 4 long screws and wondered why they weren't going in all the way. The correct screws to use for the L9A are these short ones here in the foam. Don't be like me, read the manual or guide thoroughly. Now that the CPU cooler is mounted, let's connect the fan cable into the CPU fan header on the motherboard. Moving on to the next components, let's install the memory, then the storage drive. This is a kit of 32GB of Crucial LPX DDR4 RAM at 3600 MHz speed, which is just a placeholder for now, while this one is a 500GB Samsung 990 M.2 NVMe SSD. Take note of the notch in order to get the proper orientation of the DIMM. Push down on both ends of each DIMM until the locks click into place. Let's remove first the securing screw for the M.2 drive, making sure the mounting screw is left on the board and not taken out too. Again, observe the placement of the notch on the contact side to get the proper orientation. Softly press down on the opposite end of the drive, then put back the screw. Before placing this into the case, it is best practice to check if the system boots, especially since small form factor builds are usually more difficult to properly place and manage into the case compared to larger form factor builds. Let's provide power to the components with this FSP Flex Guru PSU. Let's connect only the cable that we need. Plug in the 24-pin power cable into the motherboard. Followed by the 8-pin one to provide power to the CPU. Since our CPU doesn't have an integrated graphics unit, we'll be using a discrete graphics card. At this point of the recording, I didn't yet have with me the GTX 1650 for this build, so let's first use a temporary card in the form of this XFX R7 240. Again, ignore me plugging the HDMI cable into the motherboard when I just said that we have a discrete graphics card. This is me searching for the front panel header placement on this specific motherboard. And though you can see it, the system pauses. And so, that is it for the first part of this SFF build video. The next stage or phase is to put the motherboard, along with the installed components, into the D19 case. But let's save that for the next video. If you are interested in the build process for the D19 case, make sure to stay tuned. Clicking that bell icon would help alert you once the next video in this series is up. Do also click that like button and subscribe button to show support for this kind of videos and for my channel. Thank you for watching, and see you all in the next video.